Good morning. I am Mary Lilene P. Hipolito, and my topic is about how should people manage longevity risk. So, longevity risk is the risk exists due to the increasing life expectancy trends among policyholders, pensioners, and the growing numbers of people reaching retirement. So, most of the research on retirement savings has been concerned with the accumulation stage or a period in a person's life in which they are saving for retirement. Researchers have examined why employees are not saving enough and how they are investing their money. So, as people reach retirement age, it's important to understand investor behavior in terms of the accumulation stage or when we convert the assets that we have accumulated during our working years into an income stream for retirement. To illustrate the degree of risk, consider 10 individuals who make it to age 65. So when the first of the 10 individuals is expected to die, similarly when the last of the 10 is expected to die. So in figure 1, as you can see, the earliest death will likely occur at age 69, while the latest death will likely occur at age 99. In other words, 1 in 10 people would only need to fund 4 years of retirement income, while 1 in 10 would need to fund up to 34 years of retirement income. So of the 10 people who would reach the age 65, one would only live for 4 years and the other would live as long as 34 years. So given longevity risk, what should plan sponsors, advisors, and plan participants do? In particular, should an individual buy an annuity? If so, should a person choose to annuitize all retirement savings or just a portion of it? So Yari in 1965 was the first academic to address these important issues. So he concluded that, under certain assumptions, people should annuitize 100% of their retirement savings. Yari assumed that retirees don't care what happens to their money after they pass away or whether they have any left when they die. So David Off et al. 2005 have investigated how bequest motives affect the optimal level of annuitization. Bequest motive is the academic incentive to accumulate wealth or assets at present to transfer the inheritor in the future as inheritance. Next, another interesting perspective is offered by Sinclair and Smithers 2004, who explored unexpected health shocks and their cause. They recommend moderate annuitization while assuming large uninsurable healthcare costs. So according to their approach, people must maintain liquid assets to cover unforeseen medical expenses. Next, David Off et al. 2005 predict retirees should have at least some form of guaranteed lifetime income. So guaranteed lifelong income may be obtained through a variety of sources, including annuities purchased by retirees, benefit pensions paid by employers, and social security payments paid by the government. Next is Dashi and Webb 2004 explored the balance of sheets of couples who turned 65. In particular, they calculated the fraction of financial and retirement wealth that has been annuitized. So this is the subsample of individuals who aren't covered by a defined benefit pension, reflecting people who have to live on social security benefits and their own savings. So the percentage of wealth that is annuitized by wealth decile is shown in figure 2. It is clear that the majority of people have annuitized most of their money. So the richest retirees are the only ones whose wealth is less than half annuitized. So the high levels of annuitization in the US, it is important to note that virtually all the annuitization is in the form of social security benefits. Next, Warner and Clipper 2001 report that 90% of the enlisted personnel elected lump sum distribution. So consider an army personnel who were given the option of a lump sum distribution or life income. Given that the lump sum distribution implied an 18% discount rate. So this implies that members in the plan are genuinely reluctant to annuitize and are unlikely to deal annuity payments voluntarily. Next, Holden and Zick 2000, however, report that the spending rules retirees set on their own are suboptimal. So expanding excessively in the early years of retirement leaves retirees with insufficient funds for their later years. Particularly, the income of older widows falls by 47% following the death of their husbands. As a result, around 1 in 5 people become poor. So one of the key behavioral barriers to annuitization is the combination of inertia and regret aversion. Inertia, regret aversion, and the illusion of control are a few of the behavioral obstacles to annuitization. Unfortunately, since plan sponsors sometimes do not offer annuity products or other decumulation products, people must actively search for annuities. Individuals who are actively searching for decumulation solutions face major challenges from inertia and regret aversion. First, dealing with the issue requires time and effort, and many plan participants put it off and never find the time. Second, even if members in the plan decide to make the effort to choose an annuity product that meets their needs, they can come to regret their choice later. For instance, if the annuitant contracts a terminal illness, soon after purchasing the annuity, he or she might later regret annuitizing. The mere possibility of missing out on payments prevents many from using annuity contracts. So visible about regret is its asymmetry. Specifically, behavioral science research suggests that people regret their actions more when they result in a negative outcome than when they do not. So regret aversion suggests maintaining the status quo and avoiding the purchase of an under decumulation product. Next, imagine a retiree who has money to spend. So the thought and work put into the accumulation phase. Even so, if you are unfamiliar with financial planning, it might be challenging to choose the correct product. So the general level of financial literacy among plan participants is somewhat poor. So in the US, Canada, and Australia, retirees are required to withdraw funds from their retirement saving accounts starting approximately age 70. So while the minimum withdrawal is specified by the criteria, there is no maximum withdrawal limit. In other words, retirees who don't make good financial plans risk quickly running out of money. So for instance, the minimum withdrawal calculations in the US are based on life expectancy. According to actuarial tables, if your predicted lifespan is 20 more years and you have $3,000, you must withdraw $15,000 from your account. So how can longevity risk be managed? First, account-based pensions. So it is the most popular kind of income stream products, and it offers a source of income throughout retirement but isn't guaranteed for life. Next is lifetime annuities. So a lifetime annuity or pension is a product that does provide longevity risk protection. So a lifetime annuity offers a guaranteed lifetime income in contrast to account-based pensions. Additionally, because it is not dependent on the market's returns, it is not harmed by a market decline. Next is maintain an adequate amount of stock investments. Your investments may continue to increase with the help of stocks. This potential profit does, however, include considerable risk. You should balance the risk with other asset types such as bonds and money market funds rather than investing solely in stocks. This process of finding balance is known as asset allocation. Next is pick a sustainable withdrawal rate. So your withdrawal rate is the amount you take annually. Pick a sustainable withdrawal rate. Your withdrawal rate is the amount you take annually to cover living expenses out of your retirement assets. Too high a withdrawal rate can deplete your investments sooner rather than later. Last is adjust over time. Once your strategy is established, it is typically advised that you stick to it and view your retirement assets over the long term. However, periodically reviewing the plan is a smart idea. Your time horizons and your risk tolerance can alter in addition to market volatility. Thank you for listening.
Good day, everyone. I am Lady Dayan Lamag, and today I am going to talk about heuristic and biases in retirement savings behavior. So, heuristic and biases in retirement savings behavior. In this report, we investigate both the heuristic and biases that emerge in the area of retirement savings. We also examine the decision employees make about whether to join a savings plan or how much to contribute and how to invest. So one area where the lessons of behavioral finance are being employed to great effect is understanding retirement savings behavior and improving pensions. So ano nga ba tong retirement na to? Retirement is the stage in life when one chooses to leave the workforce and live off sources of income or savings that do not require active work. So at this age, na kung saan yung isang tao is nag-retire na, yung lifestyle nila during retirement at saka yung way kung paano nila um, they fund their lifestyle will vary from one person to the next. Depende dun sa preference ng isang tao and also dun sa financial planning ng isang tao. So, retirement in general sense, ito yung oras na kung saan hindi ka na hindi ka na magwo-work, hindi ka na magtatrabaho. You can rely on savings mo, yung sa savings na pinagtrabahuhan mo habang nung nagwo-work ka, or dun sa mga passive forms of income mo to fund your lifestyle. Also, yung retirement and the term financial independence are often used in interchangeably. Parehas kasi, dito mo kasi parehas ma-achieve kung meron ka ng enough na combined savings mo, yung mga investment income, or yung mga pension income mo to cover your living expenses. So, next naman is yung contribution plan. Ano nga ba itong contribution plan? Contribution plans are funded through an investment account. These plans are reliant on the market and it is possible to outlive the funds. It is the more common form of retirement income. So, contribution plans have many attractive features for participants. Katulad na lang yung portability and flexibility. Pero itong mga attractions na to come with an increased responsibility to choose wisely. So, yung mga plans mo is also provided din ito sa mga economies na merong attractive domain na kung saan dito pinag-aaralan yung mga savings behavior. Also, defined benefit plan promises a benefit determined by a formula that typically includes a salary history and a length of employment. So, dito rin sa contribution plan, sinasabi rin dito kung gano'n na ba kalaki yung nailagay mo do'n sa retirement account mo habang nagtatrabaho ka. But then, transfer much of decision-making authority about whether to participate, kung gano'n na ba kalaki yung na-save mo, kung paano ba mag-invest sa employer or government to the employee. So, parehas kasi yung implicit assumption are suspect din siya. So, instead, yung mga tao, maraming mga tao is nagko-cope up sila sa ina-adapt nila yung mga simple heuristics or yung tinatawag nilang rules of thumb. However, yung mga psychology, mas tinuturuan nila yung mas tinuturo nila sa mga heuristics. Though often useful and accurate, can lead to systematic biases. So, dito rin sa topic ko na ito, sa topic namin na ito, i-investigate namin yung parehas na heuristic and biases na pwedeng mag-merge in the area of retirement savings. Hindi namin talaga totally i-discuss kung paano i-determine yung mga tao, kung paano sila ipon kapag sa retirement nila, gano'n. This topic is covered in a companion paper katulad ni Jonathan Skinner. So, we examine the decisions employees make about whether to join a savings plan or how much to contribute and how to invest. We also discuss the possible role of intervention aiming to improve retirement decision making, katulad na lang do sa education and plan designing. So next slide is enrollment decision to join or not to join. So contribution retirement plans are attractive vehicle for saving. Co-attributions are tax deductible and accumulations are tax referred. So in addition, maraming employer ang nag-o-offer to match employees' contribution. So itong strategy na to is tinatawag siyang automatic enrollment. So under automatic enrollment, workers are notified at the time of eligibility that they will be enrolled in the plan. So unless na lang kapag active sila nag-e-elect not to participate or they change the default selection. So, closely related to automatic enrollment is yung idea na mag-require ng na yung mga workers is maging active sila sa decision kung sasali ba sila dun sa plan or hindi. Katulad na lang requiring employees to check a yes or no box for participation. With active decision making in place, yung mga employee they have to state their preferences and there is no default choice. One company switched from an opt-in regime to active decision and found that participation rate increased by about 25 percentage points. However then, itong parehas na both automatic enrollment and yung active decision plans is typically set with a relatively low default saving rate of 2 to 3% and a very conservative investment choice, katulad na lang ng money market account. So later, we're going to discuss about the policies that might keep the high participation rates of automatic enrollment plans and also yung pagpapromote sa higher contribution rates and more broadly, do sa diversified portfolios. So while automatic enrollment or yung quick enrollment makes the process of joining a retirement plan less daunting, expanding the choices of funds available to participant can have the opposite effect. So, let's now proceed to the contribution rates. So, contribution rate means the percentage rate of eligible expenditure at which grant is paid as contained in the project specified contribution and made the capital contribution rate and or the revenue contribution rate. So dito, we do not attempt to answer the difficult questions of whether the average employee is contributing enough, and we do not want to make the two general points. However, meron tayong dito, parang mga um, general points. First is yung for workers who do not have their significant sources of retirement income, the saving rates typically observed for 101,000 plans are unlikely to provide anything close to complete income replacement in retirement. Second, maraming mga employees din na naniniwala na they should be saved more. So how do participants choose their contribution rate? Many people spend very little time on this important financial decision. Apparently, maraming mga tao ang gumagamit ng shortcuts or yung tinatawag nila saving heuristics. For example, in many plans, maraming mga participants ang nagtatanong to state a desired saving rate as a percentage of pay. Another heuristic, saving heuristic we explored in a joint research project with Hewitt Associates is picking the maximum contribution rate allowed by the plan. So itong strategy na to can be a sensible one din daw. However, yung pagbabago dun sa mga tax code, nakakatulong yun sa atin para mas ma-explore kung yung rule ba ng saving the max is magre-result sa atin ng pagiging careful natin sa pag-iisip or sa pag-make ng decision, or it is just a convenient rule of thumb. So, yung Economic Growth and Tax Relief Reconciliation Act of 2001, um, nire-retain lang niya yung dollar caps on contribution to retirement accounts. Pero, ini-eliminate din nito yung restriction dun sa percentage ng salary na pwedeng makakontribute dito. So, nagre-result din ito ng mababa na salary ng mga tao or ng mga employee. For example, do sa mga, 'di ba, sa mga part-time worker. So, traditional economic analysis predict that ito nga Economic Growth and Tax Relief Reconciliation o yung EGTRRA would likely result in increased contribution to retirement accounts. Pero kung may mga employees na gumagamit ng contribution percentage prior dun sa EGTRRA nga as a saving heuristic, so yung mga employees na yon, kailangan nilang pumili in their own percentage kasi 'di ba, yung saving, yung maximum saving lang is 100% of wages and hindi rin yun feasible sa halos lahat ng mga tao. Then, tataas yung maximum share of income na pwedeng ma-contributed na pwedeng mag-result sa lower contribution sa retirement account ng isang employee. So, another common rule of thumb is to contribute to a retirement account. Ito yung minimum necessary to get the full employer match. For example, kapag yung employer matches employees, nag-match yung employee's contribution niya hanggang 6% of pay, then halos lahat ng mga employees magko-contribute din ng 6%. So, just like here in the figure 1, the distribution of contribution rates for new plan participants before and after the maximum rate was increased from 16 to 100% of pay. So, as we can see, the above chart display the distribution of contribution rate at a large defined contribution plan administered by Hewitt Associates. So, makikita natin dito in the year 2002, which is yun yung naka-black, naka-shade po na black, and then yung not shaded, it is in the year 2001. So, yung maximum contribution rate allowed under the plan is tumaas siya from 16% to 100% of place in accordance with Economic Growth and Tax Relief Reconciliation Act of 2001. So, dito rin sa chart na to, pinapakita dito yung distribution of contribution rates ng mga participant na sumali sa plan noong 2001 versus sumali sa plan noong 2002. After na magkaroon ng maximum rate, after tumaas yung maximum rate. So, makikita rin po natin dyan, in the 6%, halos talagang biglang nag-boom yung taas ng rate nila sa 6%. Both year po for 2001 and 2002. And then, in the 10% po, yung medyo naangatan ng 2002. And then, in the year 2001, nag-boom po, biglang tumaas na naman yung dun sa year 2001. And then, hanggang nag 100% na yung sa 2002, nagdire-diretso na. So, next po tayo sa asset allocation. Asset allocation is an investment strategy that aims to balance risk and reward by apportioning a portfolio asset according to an individual goals, risk tolerance, and investment horizon. So, itong diversification naman na to, having decided to join the plan and having picked an amount to save, participant must then decide how to invest their contribution. Based po kay Markowitz strategy can be viewed as a knife diversification daw. Kapag po, when we face the N options, divide asset, even across the option, we have this heuristic, the 1 over N rule. Kino-consider natin yung mga experiment and yung mga read nila Lowenstein noong 1995 and conducted on Halloween night. So in other condition naman, yung mga approach sa single house where they ask to choose whichever two candy bars you like. Large piles of both candies were displayed to ensure that the children would not think it was rude to take the two of the same. So, nagre-result lang ito ng strong diversification bias na kung saan simultaneous choice yung nandun sa condition. Kasi every child, pipiliin nila isang candy lang. So, in contrast, merong 48% of the children in the sequential choice condition, ang pipiliin nila is yung ibang candies. While the consequences of picking the two candies are minimal lang. Applying naive diversification heuristic to portfolio selection could have more significant consequences. So, the heuristic people are used depend on the complexity of the situation. So, marami ring mga plans are nag-a-attempt na tulungan yung mga participants deal with the difficult problems of portfolio construction by offering lifestyle funds na magbe-blend sa mga stocks and bonds in a way design na ma-meet yung mga needs na mga different or mga iba't ibang level ng risk tolerance. For example po, kapag yung employer is nag-offer siya ng 3 lifestyle funds. Like yung conservative, moderate, and aggressive. Itong mga funds na to is already diversified. So, individuals need only pick the fund that only fits the risk preference. So, as we can see here in the table 1, allocation of contribution for plan offering a mix of lifestyle funds and core funds. So, the table described the average allocation of future contribution among the model portfolios and yung mga core funds. So, makikita rin natin dito sa table yung total equity allocation para sa mga nag-invest dun sa mga various model portfolio as well as dun sa mga hindi nag-invest dun sa mga iba pang mga model portfolios. So yung mga participants ba is naintindihan nila kung paano gamitin yung mga diversified funds? So, we studied one plan that offers both lifestyle funds and core funds. Etong tatlong lifestyle funds na to, etong conservative, moderate, and aggressive, and yung iba pang mga core funds, katulad na lang ng equity funds, fund, and growth fund, and yung mga iba pang mga funds. Nagre-result lang dito sa table 1, those sa mga nag-invest sa conservative lifestyle fund, allocate just only 31% dun sa fund. With the rest being allocated sa core funds. Kasi yung menu ng core fund is dominated lang siya sa equity funds na nagre-result din yung equity exposure of those in the conservative fund is 77%. These participants ends up with fairly aggressive portfolio, probably without being aware of it. Participants seem reluctant to stick with one fund. Kahit na yung mga fund na yon is already contains with several different funds. So, indeed, yung mga individuals na pumili ng mga lifestyle funds can end up picking the same level of risk as those constructing their own portfolio from the core option. So let's now proceed with the company stock. A stock is a security that represents a fractional ownership in a company. When you buy a company stock, you're purchasing a small piece of that company called a share. Investor purchase stocks in companies they think will go up in a value. So maraming mga employees ang iniisip pa rin nila, hindi pa rin nila iniisip yung mga risk na pwede nilang apply dun sa mga own employer nila. First, Employees do not seem to understand the risk and return profile of the company. Um, Second is yung plan participant to tend and extrapolate past performance in the future. So, employees at the worst performing firms allocated 10% lang dun sa retirement contribution sa company stock. Na kung saan, dun sa mga best performing firms, naka-allocate is 40% of their contribution to company stock. So specifically, there was no correlation between the allocation to company stock and subsequent stock performance. So third, employees who receive their employer matching contribution in company stock view their employer's decision to match in the company stock as implicit advice. So, in particular, dun sa mga nagre-require na magkaroon ng employer match in the form of company stock, allocate na 29% dun sa discretionary contribution, yun yung pera na nakokontrol nila, na to company stock. While those who have the option pero hindi naman requirement na pumunta pa or magkaroon ng employer match in the form of company stock, allocate lang siya ng 18% of their own funds sa company stock. So to understand why employers provide the match in company stock, nag-survey si Vanguard clients kay Bernard C. Thaler, Utkus, and Sustain. So yung mga employers naniniwala sila na magkakaroon ng increase sa motivation and productivity. So yung advantageous tax treatment ng company stock and yung pagpe-place ng shares in friendly hands, isa daw ito sa mga pinaka-important factors. Pero meron din mga alleged benefit employers nagko-contribute sa company stock ng overestimated. For example daw, yung evidence ng pagtaas ng productivity is at the best mix. So, yung pagtaas ng productivity are uncorrelated dun sa degree ng employee ownership. So, let's now proceed to the market timing, buy high, selling low. It is to reduce the core proposition. Market timing means buying low and selling high. On the other hand, identifying high sa overvalued and yung sa low naman is sa undervalued. It is the complicated thing. Throughout the 1990s, participants were increasing their equity allocation both in terms of the percentage of money contributed each year and the account balances held. So, ito yung time na kung saan mas in-speculate pa nila yung dalawang reason kung bakit ganun yung isang behavior. Pwede daw na kung baka yung isa is the remote possibility that the investor had spent the decade pouring over finance and dun sa economic journals, had learned that the stock returns was mas mataas daw dun sa bonds return over a long period. So, nag-decide na lang sila na mas mag-invest na lang na mas marami sa stock. So, the other possibility was that maraming investor ang naniniwala na yung stock is mas tataas pa sila. So, kapag daw, kahit naman daw kunyari bumaba din yung stocks, that is just the another buying opportunity since mabilis lang naman din tumaas yung stocks. So, yung stock market provided an opportunity to test these competing hypotheses during 2000 to 2002. So, kinompare nila yung allocation ng contribution sa mga bagong mga participants with those of all planned participants. Kasi naniniwala sila na yung strong inertia exhibited by existing participant, ito yung mga bagong choices ng mga participant na nagpo-provide or merong daw na mas magandang insight or mas maraming insight sa current thinking ng mga investor. So that's all my report po about about heuristic and biases in retirement savings behavior. So to be continued by Miss Christine Labadno po. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Christine Macy Labad, and today I will continue our topic about heuristics and biases in retirement savings behavior. So, for the next topic is mental accounting. Mental accounting refers to the implicit methods of individuals used to code and evaluate transactions, investments, gambles, and other financial outcomes. We believe that participants use separate mental accounts for old money or the amounts they have already accumulated in the plan, and for new money or the amounts they have not yet contributed. So yung mental accounting, isa siyang mga set of operations and method na ginagamit ng mga individuals para i-organize and i-evaluate yung mga financial activities nila. It states here that people place the value of money differently, which is naglilit ito sa pagiging irrational ng mga tao when it comes to their financial decision making. In simple terms, yung mental accounting, most people mentally segregate their money or assets into buckets for specific reasons and purposes. Instead, nasa isang big file of money lang ito. So, para mas maintindihan natin, let's give an example. Kapag yung isang individual, nakuha nila yung sahod nila, let's say, their salary is 20,000. So, nagse-set aside sila ng some portion for their future expenses like 5,000 para sa, yun nga, future expenses nila like emergency fund. And yung other 10,000 naman is para sa mga or para sa kanilang everyday needs like groceries, foods, and utility bills. And the other portion naman or yung other 5,000 is for their savings or future income like retirement. So, how mental accounting play in retirement savings? Retirees tend to view the money they had accumulated as untouchable or hindi nila pwedeng galawin ito when it was actually or should be spent when they retire. So, the desire to conserve and not to overspend their money is admirable, but the blind spot here is that people may miss the joy of spending freely on new experiences. Next, we have the peer effects. A rational but unsophisticated investors may ask a knowledgeable expert for help, but while individuals do ask others for advice, their advisors tend to be their spouses and friends who don't necessarily qualify as experts. So, when um, choosing or deciding what retirement plan to choose, sometimes people tend to base their decision to their peers. Like mag-ask sila ng advice or mag-ask for help sila kung ano ba yung mas okay na decision. When choosing between defined benefit or defined contribution plan. So, yung mga peer or mga taong ina-ask nila ng advice, yung mga puwedeng yung mga family, spouses, or yung mga friends nila. So, just like us, students, 'di ba when entering the college, nag-ask din tayo ng advice from our family kung ano ba yung magandang course or kung ano ba yung course na puwede natin kunin or minsan dahil lang makakasama mo yung kaibigan mo dahil pinili mo yung course na yun. So yung mga peers natin, they also affect or they have greatly affect our decision and choices when it comes to our retirement savings plan. So next is how much is investors' autonomy worth? One advantage of defined contribution retirement plans is that they allow for variation in individual tastes, both for saving and for risk bearing. The trend over time has been to allow more flexibility both in saving rates and investments. So participants' self-constructed portfolios receive the lowest average rating 2.75. The average portfolio received is slightly higher mean rating of 3.03, and the professionally managed portfolios receive the significantly higher mean rating of 3.50. So, isa nga sa mga advantage ng defined contribution retirement plan is that inaalaw nito yung isang tao sa kanyang choice when it comes to savings and investment. Dahil as a person, we all have different choices and preferences in which sa defined contribution, mas flexible ito when it comes to savings rate and investment. So, according sa book, sa pag-aaral sa asset allocation, they investigate whether a participant or a person do a good job in choosing or picking a portfolio. So as per Benartzi and Thaler in 2002, using a plan with participants defaulted into professionally managed account based on their age, they studied the choices of those participants who elected to opt out of the default investment and form their own portfolio. So they projected for each employee the distribution of retirement income for three portfolios or for three choices. The first portfolio is the employment or the employee's self-constructed portfolio, which received a lowest rating of 2.75. The second portfolio is where the average portfolio for all employees who select the professionally managed account, which received a slightly higher mean ratings of 3.03. And the last choice is where the professionally managed portfolio account received the significantly higher mean rating of 3.50. So they made another study or survey about this, but the result is just similar to the previous one. Benartzi and Thaler examine why those survey did not like their own portfolios. So ang mga reasons na nakita or nakalap ni Benartzi and ni Thaler ay number one is yung failure to select efficient portfolios. The second one is the differences of opinions sa future stock market performance. Next is the changes sa preferences from the initial plan enrollment. And lastly, pwedeng yung mistakes sa initial asset allocation. So in other words, yung mga participants sa defined contribution retirement plans don't have the skill or the understanding of their own preferences para pumili ng tamang investment para sa kanila. The authors, Benartzi and Thaler, also conclude that choice by itself may not benefit retirement plan participants and may only cause them to act against their own interests. So next is, or the last topic for this is choosing between defined benefit and defined contribution plans. So the employees of state governments with retirement programs are sometimes given a choice between a defined benefit and a defined contribution retirement plan, which presents another opportunity to study high-stakes decision-making in the savings domain. So, before choosing between defined benefit and defined contribution plan, let us know what is these two. So both defined benefit and defined contribution plans are pension plans or companies' pension plans. So let us first know what about defined benefit. Defined benefit plan, it is a plan na may specified amount when you retire. So, naka-based yung amount na makukuha mo sa years ng pagtatrabaho mo and sa earnings mo. This plan is also not contributory. Ang mga gumagawa ng contribution dito ay yung employer to fund the participants or employees' future benefits. So, yung employer din yung nagbe-bears ng mga risks under this retirement plan. While on the other hand, yung defined contribution plan naman ay inaalaw nito yung mga employees and employer na mag-contribute and mag-invest sa funds over time para makapag-save sila for their retirement, which is more complicated than the other one. So, kapag nag-retire ka, kung ano lang yung na-accumulate mo or ano lang yung naipon mo, yun lang yung makukuha mo. Defined benefit plan is also common in public sector, like particularly in government jobs. So, according again to the book where we based our report, yung mga employees ng state government na may retirement programs, binibigyan sila ng choice kung defined benefit ba or defined contribution retirement plan. Kung saan mas nagbibigay ito or nagbigay ito ng another opportunity para mapag-aralan yung high-stakes decision making in the savings domain. So, may isang study patungkol sa isang large public employer na nag-offer ng lahat ng options para sa kanyang mga employees. And these options are, first is to remain in the existing defined benefit plan. Second is to choose a new defined contribution plan. 3 is the hybrid option or to keep existing benefits under the defined benefit plan and to accumulate future accruals under the defined contribution plan. So sa mga employees na nagpalit from defined benefit to defined contribution plan ay makakatanggap ng actuarially fair lump sum contribution sa kanilang defined contribution plan. So sa part na to, impossible na ma-determine kung rational ba yung decision na ginawa ng participant para sa choice na kanya napili since iba-iba nga yung preference and choices ng bawat isa. So, the defined benefit and the defined contribution plan had very different vesting schedules. One year for the defined contribution plan and 6 years naman para sa defined benefit plan. So, kapag yung employee nagtrabaho siya ng less than 6 years and then pinili niya yung defined benefit plan, sa part na ito, yung mga employees, kinakailangan nilang i-estimate yung years ng pagtatrabaho nila para makapag-desisyon or makapili sila ng mas maayos. So for example dito, yung 31 years old na employee na may 1 year of service sa company, meron siyang approximately 1 out of 10 chance na magtrabaho sa parehong employer through the plan's normal retirement age of 62. And based sa data, 7% lang ng participants yung pumili ng contribution plan. And 63% naman ay para sa mga pumili ng defined benefit plan. So, noong 2002, doon, when the choice came in the half of 2002, kung saan dito yung sa kalagitnaan ng bear market. So, nung time na yon, na-discourage yung mga participants na pumili ng defined contribution plan. So, in conclusion, saving for retirement is a difficult problem, and most employees have little training upon which to draw in making the relevant decisions. Perhaps, as a result, investors are relatively passive. They are slow to join advantageous plans, they make infrequent changes, and they adopt naive diversification strategies. So, lahat naman tayo gustong ng comfortable and secure life once we retire. And some of us gusto din ng mas maagang retirement. So the topics above taught us to be wise when it comes to our decision to our finances. And kung kami yung pipili between defined benefit or defined contribution plan, mas pipiliin namin yung defined defined benefit plan dahil nga mas less yung complication sa retirement plan na to. So that's all for our report. Again, I am Christine Macy Labad. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Rose J. Laksina. My topic for today is all about retirement saving behavior and improving pension. Pretty much it was already discussed that retirement saving is a kind of investment we might be having in the future. Siguro, familiar naman tayo kung paano gumana yung pension because one way or another. Merong mga related sa ating nakakatanda na nakakatanggap nito madalas buwan-buwan. So basically, palalawakin ko lang natin sa pagkakataong ito yung mga concepts involving those subjects. Introduction. One area where the lessons of behavioral finance are being employed to great effect is understanding retirement saving behavior and improving pension. Just like what was discussed by the previous reporter in this chapter, if you are employee, a part of the decision making in saving for your future is a shared effort between you and your employer. In this part, we're going to elaborate how an international movement toward pension where employees are also investors in the sense that they must monitor and control their own retirement accounts. Two types of pension fund. Defined benefit pension employer invested. The employer normally promises according to a formula periodic payments subsequent to retirement. For this type, the investment directly depends on the employer. Sila yung inaasahan na magulog or mag-ipon ng specific amount batay sa pinagkasunduan or nasa kontrata, hanggang sa makumpleto nila yung target amount at the retirement stage of the employee. Second, defined contribution pension employee invested. The employer along with the employee normally makes contribution into a retirement account whose accumulation is a function of investment returns, without any guarantee as to what will be available after retirement. On the other hand, dito parehas may responsibilidad na maghulog o mag-ipon ang employee and employer. However, dito sa defined contribution, there is no guarantee kung ano at magkano ang inaasang matatanggap ng isang trabahador when he retires. From the word itself, defined contribution, ang naka-state lang is yung contribution, na kailangan mabuo, hindi ang future na pakikinabangan. Samantalang sa defined benefit kasi, alam mo na kung magkano yung makikita mo sa retirement account mo kalaunan. Plan design and saving outcomes. Before we get to the details of related readings with what this part entails, I would like to give a brief description about it. The paper assessed the impact of the 401k plan design to four aspects: participation in the 401k plan, the distribution of employee contribution rates, asset allocation, and cost distribution. Ano nga ba yung 401k plan? The 401k plan is only a useful tool for helping employees save for retirement to the extent that employees actually participate in their employer-sponsored 401k plan. First bullet, defined contribution pension plan have gradually replaced defined benefit pension plans as the primary privately sponsored vehicle to provide retirement income. Because of the favorable tax benefit afforded to saving through employer-sponsored pension plans, it is important to understand how this plan actually affect the desired outcomes for which the tax benefits are given. Second bullet, the growth of 401k type savings plans and the associated displacement of defined benefit plans has generated concern about the adequacy of employee retirement savings. Defined contribution pension plans place the burden of ensuring adequate retirement savings squarely on the backs of individual employees. However, employees makes many decisions about the design of 401k plans that can either facilitate or hinder employees' retirement saving prospects. Although the government placed some limits on how companies can structure their 401k plans, employers nonetheless have broad discretion in the design of their 401k plans. What it takes to make a good plan design. Making good plan design decision requires an understanding of the relationship between plan rules and participant saving outcomes. Kagaya nga nung nabanggit ko kanina, we will discuss how the plan design 401k tool, to be specific, has influenced 4 key areas of saving outcomes. This suggests an important role for both employers in determining how to structure their 401k plans and government regulators in creating institutions that encourage or discourage particular aspect of 401k plan design. Automatic enrollment and 401k participation. The 401k plan requires an active election on the part of employees to initiate participation. That is, if the employee does nothing, the default is that the employee will not be enrolled in the 401k plan. Because this is the most widely used 401k enrollment protocol, we term this the standard enrollment approach to 401k participation. An alternative but less widely used approach is to automatically enroll employees in the 401k plan, requiring an active election on the part of employees in order to out of 401k participation. So, dito sa una, may mga companies na ginagawang mandatory yung participation dito sa tool na to as a benefit saving to their employees. They have what they called automatic enrollment. So, regardless kung gusto ng employee o hindi, standard protocol na sa kanila to avail this saving choice. So, based sa study, under a standard enrollment regime, 401k participation is low initially and increased with employee tenure at a decreasing rate. Ang pinakapangunahing problema na nararanasan ng mga voluntaryong programa sa pagtitipid tulad ng mga kabilang sa defined contribution ay yung katotohanang sila nga ay voluntary. Automatic enrollment, a situation that exists when employees must negatively elect non-participation in a company retirement saving plan, as compared to the traditional approach where employees must positively elect participation in such a plan, is a powerful mechanism to get people started. So, yung naging resulta ng 401k plan design in participation by automatic enrollment is auto-enrollment is effective in getting people to begin saving. The figure is also useful for illustrating a service effect. Even without auto-enrollment, most workers will eventually enroll, since over time, they will release the wisdom of retirement savings. Requiring an active decision and 401k participation, this approach avoids the default implicit in both the standard enrollment, default of non-participation, and automatic enrollment, default of participation. Protocols by requiring employees to actively indicate their 401k participation decision by a specific date, regardless of whether they want to enroll or not. Passively accepting a default is not an option. Automatic enrollment will generally lead to higher participation rates than active decision. This is because procrastination causes employees who do not want to be in the plan to delay opting out of 401k participation under automatic enrollment, whereas this non-enrollment preference is acted upon quickly under active decision. Automatic enrollment, active decision, and standard enrollment are three general approaches to enrolling employees in the 401k plan. So, kung titingnan natin yung graph, yung participation rate through automatic enrollment in the 401k plan is magkakaiba depende sa tagal ng isang employee sa company. Mapapansin natin na dun sa new, mataas and active yung participation. Probably, gusto nilang magpa-impress ganyan. Siyempre, kapag bago ka pa, sunod ka lang ng sunod because you want your employee to have a good impression about you. Then, kalaunan, kapag regular ka na siguro, medyo hindi mo na gaanong patutuunan ng pansin, pero kapag years na ang bilangan ng tagal mo sa company, sinasabi sa conclusionary graph na to, marirealize mo din yung importansya na pagkakaroon ng plano on your retirement savings. The employer match and 401k participation, enrollment protocols, and eligibility requirements affect participation rate directly by determining who can participate in the plan in the process required to enroll. There are several other plan features that act upon 401k participation rates indirectly, either by making the plan more attractive or by making the participation decision less complicated. Overall, naging assessment dun sa relationship between the employer match and 401k participation rates is that having a match increase the probability of 401k plan participation. Although the magnitude of this effect as not being disability estimated, there is less certainty about the extent to which increasing an already positive match rate leads to further increase in 401k participation. Siyempre, kahit parehas yung tool na ginagamit, yung mga protocols na pinapatupad sa mga companies is magkakaiba. It's either may encourage lalo yung mga automatically enrolled to participate kasi madali yung requirements to enroll. Or pwedeng kakaunti lang yung kailangan nilang gawin to maintain the plan design. It differs on how they make it more appealing to employees. The menu of funds offered the 401k participation. A plan feature with a somewhat paradoxical effect on participation is the degree of investment choice available to plan participant. Having the ability to direct the asset allocation of contribution to an employer-sponsored savings plan leads to a large 36 percentage point increase in the probability of participating. Kung palalawakin, one might think that having a greater number of funds available should make participation on the 401k plan even more attractive. However, document a strong negative relationship between the number of funds offered in a 401k plan and average participation rates. Increasing the number of funds offered by 10 leads to a 1.5 to 2.0 percentage point decline in the firm level average 401k participation rate. The explanation offered is that increasing the number of options available to participants overwhelm them. Not only the number of funds, but the type of funds available in the fund menu have the potential to affect 401k participation. So, mahirap kontrolin ng sapat para sa ugnayan sa pagitan ng menu ng pondo at iba pang hindi na obserbahan katangian na nakakaapekto rin sa 401k participation. Loans and 401k participation, a final 401k plan feature designed to make participation more attractive is the option for participants to take out a loan against their plan balance. The Government Accountability Office find that participation rates in plans that allow for loans are 6 percentage points higher than in plans that do not allow for loans. There is a potential correlation between loan availability and other observed plan or individual characteristic that also affect 401k participation. I think dito, hindi naman tayo maguguluhan kasi kapag may eligibility na yung utang, medyo bright light na yan sa mga tao. We all know that utang is not always negative, especially if gagamitin mo yun for a good purpose. Naaalala ko nga yung mga lagi sinasabi ng mga matatanda, for example, maganda daw maging teacher kasi pwede kang mag-loan. So, lahat naman halos eligible. Pero kapag teacher kasi, parang mas madali because your career is secured. So, ganun din yung naging impact ng participation sa 401k plan. If they incorporate loan eligibility, mas ma-encourage yung active willingness ng mga beneficiary. Pag-usapan naman natin yung participation kung yung 401k tool is i-apply sa isang defined benefit plan. Kasi kanina, yung diniscuss natin is on the defined contribution plan. Defined benefit pension plan and 401k participation. While not an explicit feature of 401k plan design, the availability of a defined benefit pension plan could also be relevant to the 401k participation decision. The empirical evidence, however, on the relationship between defined benefit pension plan coverage and 401k participation is mixed. So, magkaiba yung naging resulta ng impact. Una, a research study in 1998 find that having a more generous defined benefit pension plan is negatively correlated with the probability of participating in a 401k plan. On the other hand, Huberman, Iyengar, and Zhang 2003 showed that mean 401k participation rates are much lower for employees working in firms that offer a defined benefit pension plan than in firms that do not, 68% versus 76%. But the difference in 401k participation probabilities is completely eliminated once other observable individual and plan level attributes are controlled for. Pinapatunayan din na mas mataas para sa mga empleyadong sakop ng isang tinukoy defined benefit pension o ibang uri ng tinukoy na plano ng contribution. They suggest that participation in other 10 non-401k pension or saving plan proxies for a strong unobserved taste for saving which carries over into higher 401k participation probabilities. So, what can we learn with the 401k plan and participation all in all? Summary, if the goal of either employers or government's regulators is to achieve the highest possible 401k participation rate, the single most effective intervention is automatic enrollment. Automatic enrollment, however, is far from being ubiquitous. Employees do not face an employer-selected default contribution rate and asset allocation and consequently end up choosing for themselves, such as offering loans, increasing the employer match, and others mentioned, ay makakaapekto in general sa magiging participation ng mga employees by the automatic enrollment. Plan design and 401k contribution rates. Once employees have initiated participation in the 401k plan, the choice that has the greatest direct impact on asset accumulation is how much is contributed to the plan. There are 4 key elements of 401k plan design that affect employee contribution choice. First, the default contribution rate. Second, the match threshold. 3, the maximum contribution rate. And the last, the legal limit on total dollars contributed. The first 3 of these are parameters over which employers have a large amount of discretion, while the last is dictated to employers by the government. All thought employers can choose to have a maximum contribution amount that is lower than the government limit. There is a large literature examining the impact of the employer match rate on contribution, but little attention has been given to this other feature of plan design. Automatic enrollment and 401k contribution rates. The most powerful instrument for effective employee contribution is the default contribution rate. Employees who were hired under automatic enrollment and thus directly affected by the automatic enrollment default. The fraction of participants at the default decrease with tenure as participants gradually move to a different, usually higher contribution rate. Gayunpaman, isang malaking bahagi ng mga participant ay nananatili sa default na rate ng contribution kahit na pagkatapos ng 3 o 4 na taon. Kukonti lang na subject to automatic enrollment ang pumipili sa automatic enrollment default contribution rate. Readings also show na yung promises of the default contribution rate under automatic enrollment arises from from moving employees from a zero contribution rate to the default contribution rate. The participation effect discussed in the section 2, and from moving employees who would have been at a different typical higher positive contribution rate to the default. Automatic contribution rate escalators and 401k contribution rates. Another 401k plan feature designed explicitly to increase employee contribution rates is an automatic contribution rate escalator. Participants consent to allow their contribution rate to increase in the future if they take no further action. In other words, they opt into a default of rising contributions. The prototypical implementation of this type of escalator is the Save More Tomorrow smart plan developed by Shlomo Ben-Artis and Richard Taylor in 2004. Yung naging conclusion nila sa study is yung mga employees who elected to participate in the smart plan, so their 401k contribution increased by 8.1 percentage points over 3 years, from 3.5 to 11.6% of pay. In construct, employees who elected not to participate in the SMART plan have higher initial contribution rates, but increased their 401k contributions by only 4.3 percentage points over 3 years, from 4.4 to 8.7% of pay. This result show that an automatic contribution rate escalator can have an enormous impact on contribution rates. So, that's all my report. Thank you for listening.
Hello! Good day po sa ating lahat. I will be with you on this moment. My name is Leila C. Santos and my topic will mainly focus on understanding retirement saving behavior. Let us all learn about these 4 subtopics presented and let's unlock the informations. How much is needed to be saved? Siguro, may mga times din na natatanong natin sa sarili natin yung tanong na, kung sakali kayang may stable job na ako, magkano kaya yung dapat kong isave na sasapat kung sakaling magre-retire na ako sa trabaho ko? May question tayo dito. Sabi, how much annual income is needed during retirement years? According sa mga experts, yung tanong na to do not necessarily answer by providing ng specific amount. Sinasagot yung tanong na to sa pamamagitan ng income replacement ratio basis. Sa ratio na to, sabi, most studies suggest aiming for a target of between 70 and 85% of pre-retirement income. So yung income replacement ratio is a good starting point to plan, lalo na when you're still young tapos sobrang layo pa nung time ng retirement mo. Although sa atin, hindi pa ganun ka-clear yung idea natin sa expenses sa retirement. Pero hindi naman siguro yun rason para hindi tayo mag-save at i-build yung future natin. So from this point on, kapag nagkaroon na tayo ng stable job after we graduate, itry na nating i-visualize or i-estimate yung pre-retirement income base sa magiging sweldo natin. And that is our goal to work towards with. Dumako naman tayo sa limited self-control. We know what the right choice is, but sometimes we can't just follow through. Totoo naman, di ba? Minsan alam natin sa sarili natin yung dapat nating gawin pero humihingi pa rin tayo ng payo sa iba. Patanong-tanong pa tayo sa mga kaibigan natin kung ano ba yung nararapat na gawin sa mga problema natin kahit na minsan alam naman natin sa sarili natin yon. Kaya naman, nare-realize natin na minsan kailangan talaga natin ng self-imposed discipline and rules. At mas makakatulong kung bibigyang pansin yung environment na ginagalawan natin. Halimbawa, Kung gusto mo magtipid, syempre iiwasan mong sumama sa mga kaibigan or tao na alam mong mapapagastos ka ng malaking halaga. Gaya na lang ng madalas nilang sinasabi, just live within your means. Procrastination is closely linked sa self-control. Yung financial decision, syempre nangangailangan niya ng matindi at maingat na analysis. So dapat, hindi lang tayo nag-exert ng effort na mag-ipon. Dapat nagsiset din tayo ng standard kung gaano ba karami yung dapat nating isave. Kaya friend, huwag mo nang i-delay yung pag-iipon para pag nangailangan ka, meron at meron kang magagamit. When the time comes na meron kang stable job or sarili ng business, sana hindi natin makalimutan na iwasan ang procrastination nang sa gayon ay maplano at ma-achieve natin yung retirement savings na gusto natin para sa future natin. So far sa ngayon, hindi pa naman late para i-beat natin yung procrastination and gawing better yung sarili natin, lalong-lalo na sa pagpaplano ng ating future. Labanan natin yung procrastination kahit na minsan nakakatamad talaga. Last subtopic is about evidence on retirement preparedness. Yung explanation nito ay dahil sa na-overestimate ng mga tao yung kanilang needs. Naiisip siguro nila na, matagal pa naman yun, so magpo-focus na lang ako sa ngayon kasi yun naman yung mas importante, di ba? Yes, undoubtedly, mas importante ngayon sa ngayon. Pero 'di ba, kaya nga tayo nagsisipag sa ngayon para sa kinabukasan natin. Kaya sana huwag nating kalimutan na i-secure yung future natin. So ano nga ba yung purpose ng retirement savings? A retirement plan is designed to take care of your post-retirement days and help you lead a stress-free life. For sure, lahat naman tayo gusto ng less stress sa buhay. At magbe-benefit talaga tayo dito sa retirement savings dahil matutulungan tayo nito na mag-set aside ng some amount towards our retirement kahit na nagtatrabaho pa lang tayo. Malaking tulong sa atin ito since ito yung way para matulungan tayo to grow our money and makapag-provide ng regular income for life. So yun lamang po. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig. Bye!